This is the news for today, Thursday, June 27, 2024. Hakeem Jeffries unfazed by Jamal Bowman's primary loss. A sign for future progressive candidates? In the world of politics, it's not uncommon for incumbents to feel threatened by up-and-coming challengers. But in the case of Hakeem Jeffries, a Democratic congressman from New York, it seems he isn't too upset about Jamal Bowman's loss in the primary election. According to an article, Jeffries has been a strong supporter of Bowman and even campaigned for him. However, his lack of disappointment may be due to the fact that Jeffries and Bowman have differing opinions on certain issues, such as education policy and criminal justice reform. While Bowman's loss may have been a surprise to some, it raises questions about the future of progressive candidates within the Democratic Party, and whether another squad member will be next to face defeat. This is the news for today, Thursday, June 27, 2024. Kristaps' Porzingis injury sidelines him for months. Impact on Boston Celtics and NBA season. Kristaps Porzingis, the Boston Celtics forward, will miss 5 to 6 months after undergoing surgery to repair a torn retinaculum and dislocated posterior tibialis tendon in his ankle. The injury occurred during the NBA Finals, specifically during Game 2 against the Dallas Mavericks. Porzingis suffered the injury after an awkward collision with Mavericks center Derek Lively II, which caused him to limp off the court. He was later pulled from the game early. The Celtics announced the surgery on Thursday, stating that Porzingis would miss the start of next season and potentially beyond. This means he will also miss the Paris Olympic qualifying tournament for Latvia, scheduled for July 2 to 7 in Riga, Latvia. Porzingis had previously mentioned that he would require surgery for the injury, and Celtics president Brad Stevens confirmed that the surgery would take place soon. The exact timeline for his recovery is still unknown, but it is expected to be a lengthy process. This injury is a significant blow to the Celtics, as Porzingis was a key player in their NBA championship run. His absence will be felt, especially during the upcoming season. This is the news for today, Thursday, June 27, 2024. Supreme Court strikes down Purdue Pharma settlement shield. Sackler family exposed to lawsuits. The Supreme Court has rejected a liability shield that was at the center of a proposed $10 billion settlement involving Purdue Pharma, the pharmaceutical company responsible for the opioid crisis. The court ruled that members of the wealthy Sackler family, who own Purdue Pharma, cannot be shielded from lawsuits over their role in the crisis as part of the bankruptcy settlement. In a 5-4 decision, Justice Neil M. Gorsuch wrote that the federal bankruptcy code does not allow for a liability shield for third parties in bankruptcy agreements. Justice Gorsuch was joined by Justices Clarence Thomas, Samuel A. Alito Jr., Amy Coney Barrett, and Ketanji Brown Jackson. However, Justice Brett M. Kavanaugh, in a dissenting opinion, argued that the decision is devastating for the more than 100,000 opioid victims and their families. The ruling puts into jeopardy a settlement in which the Sackler family had agreed to contribute up to $6 billion to address the public health crisis caused by opioids. This is the news for today, Thursday, June 27, 2024. Walgreens closures, navigating challenges and adapting to market shifts. Walgreens has announced plans to close a significant number of its stores across the United States. The company aims to shutter around a quarter of its approximately 8,600 locations, which are currently underperforming. This strategic move comes as the company grapples with the unsustainable nature of its current pharmacy model and the persisting challenges in its operational sphere. The closures will focus on unprofitable stores, those in close proximity to each other, and stores grappling with theft issues. The company's CEO, Timothy Wentworth, emphasized the necessity to adapt to the evolving market conditions and acknowledged the challenging operating environment. The news of store closures led to a sharp decline in Walgreens' stock value, with shares plummeting by nearly 22%. This is the news for today, Thursday, June 27, 2024. Boeing and Alaska Airlines grapple with 737 MAX door failure fallout, safety, accountability, and federal rebuke. Boeing blames missing paperwork for Alaska Air incident, prompting rebuke from safety regulators. For months, Missing paperwork has hindered the investigation into how a door plug blew off a 737 MAX on an Alaska Airlines flight in January, making it difficult to find out who made the near-tragic mistake. It was already well known that no documentation was found to show who worked on the door plug, which came off the plane after it had reached around 16,000 feet in the air, causing an uncontrolled decompression, which injured a few passengers and even tore one's shirt off. At a briefing for journalists at Boeing's 737 MAX factory in Renton, Washington, Boeing said that the lack of paperwork is why the 4 bolts needed to hold the door plug in place were never installed before the plane left the factory in October. The workers who needed to reinstall the bolts never had the work order telling them the work needed to be done. Without the bolts, the door plug incident was pretty much inevitable. Luckily, it wasn't fatal. It's a sign of the problems with the quality of work along the Boeing assembly lines. Those problems have become the focus of multiple federal investigations and whistleblower revelations, and the cause of delays in jet deliveries that are causing headaches for airlines and passengers around the globe. Boeing may have stepped in it again. The National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, reprimanded Boeing Thursday for releasing non-public investigative information to the media. It said in a statement that the company had blatantly violated the agency's rules. Boeing will no longer have access to information generated by the NTSB during its investigation, the agency said, adding it was referring Boeing's conduct to the Department of Justice. Boeing responded that it held the briefing in an effort to take responsibility and be transparent for its role in the incident. It said it shared context on the lessons we have learned from the January 5th accident. Their statement read, "We deeply regret that some of our comments intended to make clear our responsibility in the accident and explain the actions we are taking overstepped the NTSB's role as the source of investigative information," said Boeing's statement. "We apologize to the NTSB and stand ready to answer any questions as the agency continues its investigation." This is the news for today, Thursday, June 27, 2024. NASA entrusts SpaceX with $843 million contract to safely decommission ISS. NASA has awarded SpaceX an $843 million contract to develop a spacecraft that will safely bring the International Space Station out of orbit when its operational life ends in 2030. The spacecraft, named the U.S. Deorbit Vehicle, will guide the ISS back through Earth's atmosphere before it is intentionally crashed into the Pacific Ocean. NASA's Associate Administrator for Space Operations Mission Directorate, Ken Bowersox, emphasized the importance of selecting a U.S. deorbit vehicle to ensure a secure and responsible transition in low Earth orbit post the ISS's operational phase. The contract includes a potential value of $843 million, with NASA set to take ownership post-development and operate it throughout its mission until the planned destructive breakup during re-entry. This is the news for today, Thursday, June 27, 2024. Indictments follow Uvalde tragedy, unpacking the charges against former school officers Arredondo and Gonzalez. 2 former Uvalde school police officers, Pete Arredondo and Adrian Gonzalez, have been indicted in connection with the botched law enforcement response to the 2022 mass shooting at Robb Elementary School. The shooting resulted in the loss of 19 children and 2 teachers. The indictment marks the first criminal charges to stem from the tragedy. Arredondo, the former chief of the school district police, faces charges of abandoning or endangering a child. Gonzalez, a former officer, also faces similar charges. The indictment comes more than 2 years after the shooting and suggests failures in the police response beyond poor decision-making. This is the news for today, Thursday, June 27, 2024. IATSE strikes tentative labor deal with AMPTP. Pay raises and AI impacts on film and TV workers. IATSE and the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers have reached a tentative agreement on the Area Standards Agreement, a contract that covers 20,000 film and TV workers across the United States. This deal comes after 2 days of talks and marks a significant milestone in the labor negotiations. The agreement includes a 7% raise in the first year, followed by 4% and 3.5% increases in subsequent years. Additionally, the pact incorporates regional wage adjustments and a 33% boost in the living allowance for nearby hires. The contract also mandates triple-time pay after a workday extends to 15 hours. The union secured additional streaming residuals to address a $670 million deficit in pension and health plans. The details regarding artificial intelligence are expected to be revealed to members post-conclusion of the contracts. The IATSE deal is pending ratification by the union's members. This is the news for today, Thursday, June 27, 2024, close encounter of the asteroidal kind, tracking 2011 UL-21's historic flyby with NASA and the Virtual Telescope project. A massive planet-killer asteroid will make a very close approach to Earth today, safely zipping past our planet at around 58,000 miles per hour. The potentially hazardous mountain-size object is one of the largest space rocks to pass close to Earth in more than a century. You can watch the close encounter live. The asteroid 2011 UL-21 is a near-Earth asteroid, meaning its orbit occasionally puts it within 1.3 astronomical units of the Sun. It orbits our home star once every 3 years. Based on past observations, the space rock is somewhere between 1.1 and 2.4 miles wide, making it larger than 99% of known near-Earth asteroids. 2011 UL-21 is likely at least 10 times smaller than the largest space rock to ever hit Earth, the Vredefort asteroid, and around 5 times smaller than the rock that wiped out the dinosaurs around 66 million years ago. However, while any potential impact from 2011 UL-21 would be less extreme than these historic collisions, the asteroid still has the potential to cause damage on a continental scale and eject enough debris into the atmosphere to trigger significant climatic changes. Asteroid 2011 UL-21 will zoom past at around 4.1 million miles from Earth, which is closer than it's been to our planet for at least 110 years. At this distance, it is considered a potentially hazardous object by NASA. However, this is still around 17 times farther away from our planet than the Moon. You can watch 2011 UL-21's closest approach thanks to a free live stream from the Virtual Telescope project, which will share the view of the asteroid from the Bellatrix Astronomical Observatory in Ceccano, Italy. The stream begins at 4 p.m. Eastern Time on June 27th, with the close approach predicted to occur 15 minutes later. You may also be able to spot the asteroid in the night sky with a decent telescope. It will be at its brightest on June 28th and June 29th, and should be visible from the northern hemisphere if you know where to look. At its brightest, it will have a similar brightness to Proxima Centauri, the nearest known star to the Sun. 2011 UL-21 will not get this close to Earth again until 2089, when the space rock will get to within 1.7 million miles of our planet, more than 2.5 times closer to us than its current approach. This is the news for today, Thursday, June 27, 2024. Multivitamins and mortality, unveiling the NIH's 20-year study results. Taking daily multivitamins does not extend longevity, according to a recent study. Researchers at the National Institutes of Health analyzed data from over 400,000 healthy American adults over a period of 20 years. The study found that individuals who took daily multivitamins did not experience a decrease in mortality risk compared to those who did not take them. In fact, daily multivitamin users faced a 4% higher mortality risk. The study also found no differences in mortality rates from various causes, including cancer, heart disease, and cerebrovascular diseases, between multivitamin users and non-users. The researchers adjusted their results for factors like race, ethnicity, education, and nutrition to mitigate potential biases. The study's findings align with previous research, which has shown that multivitamins do not reduce the risk of heart disease, cancer, or cognitive decline. This is the news for today, Thursday, June 27, 2024. Massachusetts Attorney General secures $32.50 minimum wage for Uber and Lyft drivers. Massachusetts Attorney General Andrea Campbell has reached a landmark settlement with Uber and Lyft, ensuring that drivers in the state will earn a minimum of $32.50 per hour. This settlement marks a significant milestone in the ongoing legal battle between the ride-hailing giants and the state. Under the agreement, Uber and Lyft will pay their drivers a guaranteed minimum wage, paid sick leave, occupational accident insurance, and healthcare stipends. The companies will also provide detailed trip and payment information to drivers, prevent discrimination, and offer in-app chat support in multiple languages. Additionally, Uber and Lyft will collectively pay $175 million to settle allegations of violating Massachusetts wage and hour laws. The majority of this sum will be allocated as restitution to current and former drivers who were not paid adequately by the companies. This settlement is a major victory for drivers in Massachusetts, ensuring fair compensation and enhanced benefits. This is the news for today, Thursday, June 27, 2024. NFL hit with $4.7 billion verdict in DirecTV Sunday Ticket antitrust case. A federal jury in Los Angeles has ordered the National Football League to pay $4.7 billion in damages to residential and commercial customers who purchased its Sunday Ticket package on DirecTV from 2011 to 2022. The verdict follows a 3-week trial in which the NFL was accused of violating antitrust laws by granting DirecTV an exclusive monopoly on out-of-market games. The lawsuit, initially filed in 2015 by the Mucky Duck Sports Bar, claimed that the NFL and its teams conspired to maintain this monopoly until YouTube took over the package in 2023. The jury awarded $96 million in damages to bars and restaurants and $4.7 billion to customers. The NFL has stated it will appeal the verdict, calling the suit baseless and without merit. This is the news for today, Thursday, June 27, 2024. Google enhances AI with real-world data and new features from Moody's, MSCI, Thomson Reuters, and ZoomInfo. Google is expanding its efforts to ground its AI models in real-world facts. This means that instead of generating content based on learned patterns, the models will now be able to retrieve information from specific data sources, reducing the chances of inventing content. This is particularly important in situations where accuracy and reliability are crucial. Google is introducing several new features to enhance the reliability of AI results. One of these features is grounding with third-party datasets, which will utilize data from providers like Moody's, MSCI, Thomson Reuters, and ZoomInfo. This feature will be available in Q3 this year. Another feature is high-fidelity mode, which enables organizations to source information for generated outputs from their own corporate datasets instead of Gemini's wider knowledge bank. This mode is powered by a specialized version of Gemini 1.5 Flash and is available now in preview via Vertex AI's Experiments tool. Additionally, organizations can now allow Google's AI models to pull information from their own company datasets. This will enable more accurate and relevant responses directly related to their use case. Google is also introducing a new confidence score that provides a numerical indication of the model's certainty in its response. This will help customers trust the model's output more. The company is also expanding its vector search feature, which allows users to find images by referencing similar graphics. This feature will now support hybrid search, pairing vector-based searches with text-based keyword searches to improve accuracy. Overall, these new features aim to make Google's AI more reliable and trustworthy for business applications. This is the news for today, Thursday, June 27, 2024. Lakers draft Bronny James. A father-son dream team in the making. The Los Angeles Lakers have made a significant move in the NBA draft, selecting Bronny James with the 55th pick. This marks a major step in LeBron James's long-held dream of teaming up with his eldest son in the NBA. Bronny James, 19, spent one season at the University of Southern California before entering the NBA draft. He suffered a sudden cardiac arrest during a July 2023 practice with the Trojans, but made a remarkable comeback, debuting in December. The Lakers' general manager, Rob Pelinka, praised Bronny James, saying he is a person of high character and works incredibly hard. He added that Bronny has never taken shortcuts or expected entitlement about basketball opportunities. Bronny James was one of the highest-earning name, image, and likeness athletes at USC, given his celebrity and massive social media followings. If LeBron and Bronny James take the court together for the Lakers, they will become the first father-son duo to do so in NBA history. LeBron James has been a regular presence at his son's games in recent years, and the two have shared a strong bond. LeBron James has long hoped to play alongside his son, just like Ken Griffey Sr. and Ken Griffey Jr. did in MLB. The Lakers' selection of Bronny James completes a remarkable comeback for the young player, who has shown his ability as a perimeter defender and displayed his work ethic. He will now join his father on the Lakers, marking a new chapter in their basketball journey together. This is the news for today, Thursday, June 27, 2024. Bolivia on edge. President Arce denies coup claims as tensions with Evo Morales escalate. In Latin America, Bolivia's President Luis Arce has denied accusations that he was behind an attempted coup against his government, calling them lies. Arce's supporters rallied outside the presidential palace, giving him some political breathing room. The government has arrested 17 people, most of them military officers, and faces charges of armed uprising and attacks against government infrastructure. The attempted coup followed months of mounting tensions between Arce and former President Evo Morales, who has vowed to run against Arce in 2025. Morales has staged a dramatic political comeback since mass protests and a deadly crackdown prompted him to resign and flee in 2019. The situation in Bolivia highlights the fragility of democracy in the region and the challenges faced by leaders in managing economic and political turmoil. This is the news for today, Thursday, June 27, 2024. Julian Assange's legal battle, espionage, extradition, and a landmark plea deal. The 2020s have been a decade of significant change and disruption. From the COVID-19 pandemic to the rise of artificial intelligence, the world has seen a lot of transformation. But one of the most notable events of the decade is the case of Julian Assange, the founder of WikiLeaks. Assange was arrested in 2012 and charged with espionage for publishing classified documents. He spent years fighting extradition to the United States, where he faced a possible life sentence. In April, the Justice Department sent a warning to colleagues that they would likely lose their battle to extradite Assange. The warning came after a British court ruled that Assange could argue he was being discriminated against based on his Australian nationality. The U.S. prosecutors said they could not and would not make that commitment, which led to the near collapse of the prosecution. The case had been troubled from the beginning, with implications for free speech rights at home and fraught interactions with foreign courts. The Justice Department declined to comment on the case, but it is clear that the outcome was a significant victory for Assange and his supporters. Assange's plea deal allowed him to return home to Australia after he admitted to a felony violation of the Espionage Act. The deal was reached after months of negotiations and came after the U.S. trial team attorneys had been pushing senior officials at the Justice Department to approve a deal that would have involved Assange pleading guilty to multiple misdemeanors. The case has been a long and contentious one, with Assange facing charges of espionage and conspiracy for publishing classified documents. The case has also raised questions about the implications for free speech rights at home and the role of the U.S. government in prosecuting journalists and whistleblowers. In conclusion, the case of Julian Assange is a significant one, with implications for free speech rights and the role of the U.S. government in prosecuting journalists and whistleblowers. The outcome of the case is a significant victory for Assange and his supporters, and it highlights the importance of protecting free speech rights in the United States. This is the news for today, Thursday, June 27, 2024. Red card drama. Tim Weah's early exit in Copa America, Juventus star under scrutiny. Tim Weah, a winger for Juventus, was issued a red card in the 18th minute of the U.S. men's national team's Copa America match against Panama. The red card was upgraded from a yellow card after a VAR review, leaving the U.S. to play the remaining 72 minutes with 10 men, WEA's actions, which involved striking Panama's Roderick Miller, sparked criticism and disappointment from his teammates and coach Greg Berhalter. Berhalter labeled WEA's decision as silly and expressed dissatisfaction with the referees. WEA apologized to his teammates and fans, acknowledging that his momentary lapse in judgment had let them down. He vowed to learn from the experience and regain the trust of his teammates and supporters. This is the news for today, Thursday, June 27, 2024. Oklahoma mandates Bible lessons in schools, exploring the Historical Curriculum Initiative by Ryan Walters. Oklahoma schools are now required to teach the Bible and the Ten Commandments in their curriculum for grades 5 through 12. This directive was issued by State Superintendent Ryan Walters, who emphasized the historical significance of the Bible and its influence on American history and the country's founders. Walters believes that the Bible is essential for understanding the country's history and values, and that its inclusion in the curriculum will help students grasp the fundamental values and historical context of the country. The directive instructs teachers to teach the Bible from a historical perspective, focusing on its role in shaping American history and the influence it had on the country's founders. For example, when studying topics such as the Mayflower Compact or the Civil Rights Movement, students will examine references to the Bible made by historical figures. Walters stressed that the inclusion of the Bible in lessons is solely for historical context, and that it is undeniable that the Bible is a historical document. He also emphasized that the State Department of Education may provide teaching materials to ensure consistent delivery of the message. The new curriculum will go into effect for the 2024-25 school year, and superintendents across the state were told instructions for monitoring and reporting on the matter will be delivered in the future. This is the news for today, Thursday, June 27, 2024. Supreme Court halts Biden's EPA cross-state air pollution rule. Implications for Indiana, Ohio, West water. The Supreme Court has blocked a Biden administration environmental regulation aimed at curbing harmful air pollution that crosses from one state to another and contributes to the formation of smog. The regulation, known as the Good Neighbor Plan, was designed to reduce nitrogen oxide pollution from industrial facilities and help prevent premature deaths, reduce emergency room visits, and cut asthma symptoms. The court's decision, which was made on a 5-4 vote, granted requests from 3 Republican-led states, Indiana, Ohio, and West Virginia, and various affected industries, including natural gas pipeline operators. The decision is a provisional one, with litigation continuing. In his opinion, Justice Neil Gorsuch wrote that the EPA's decision to implement the rule, even though it was partially blocked, was part of the problem, as the agency did not address how effective the regulation would be, if only partly in effect. He also noted that the government failed to show whether the cost-effectiveness analysis it performed collectively for 23 states would yield the same results and command the same emission control measures if conducted for just one state. Conservative Justice Amy Coney Barrett sided with the court's 3 liberals in disagreeing with the outcome. She wrote that the court had blocked a major air pollution rule based on an undeveloped theory that is unlikely to succeed on the merits. When the legal question is finally adjudicated, the Supreme Court's decision is seen as a setback for the Biden administration's efforts to address environmental issues. The court has a 6-3 conservative majority and has been skeptical of broad exertions of federal power on regulatory issues, including the environment. The EPA's Good Neighbor Plan was announced last year in a bid to curb nitrogen oxide pollution from industrial facilities. If implemented in full, it would apply to 23 upwind states whose emissions can contribute to pollution in downwind states. This is the news for today, Thursday, June 27, 2024. Kenyan Youth Force Policy Reversal. President Ruto scraps finance bill amid protests. Kenyan President William Ruto's decision to abandon his budget in the face of protests over the Kenya finance bill highlights the power of African youth. The protests, organized mainly through social media, forced President Ruto to scrap his flagship policy. Initially, Ruto defended the tax hikes. citing the need to stabilize the economy and reduce the debt burden. However, the violent clashes between protesters and police, resulting in at least 22 deaths and many injuries, led to a complete reversal in his approach. Instead of pursuing tax increases, Ruto now plans to implement public austerity measures, including reducing spending in his office, in response to public outcry over corruption and government spending. He has also pledged to engage with Kenya's youth directly. The president's shift in stance, amid criticism for the violent crackdown on protests, reflects an acknowledgement of the legitimate grievances expressed by the public. This event showcases the influence and impact that young people can have in shaping political decisions in Africa. This is the news for today, Thursday, June 27, 2024, Resurs P1 satellite breakup, space station safety and debris concerns. A Russian satellite, Resurs P1, broke up in space on June 26, creating more than 100 pieces of trackable debris. The satellite, which was in low Earth orbit, was decommissioned in 2021 and had been gradually descending in altitude. The breakup caused the International Space Station crew to take shelter in their spacecraft as a precautionary measure. The U.S. Space Command confirmed the event, stating that there were no immediate threats and that they were conducting routine conjunction assessments to support the safety and sustainability of the space domain. The cause of the breakup is still unknown, but it is believed to be related to the satellite's decommissioning process.